Welcome to Santa's About, the podcast spreading Christmas cheer year-round. I'm Santa Claus, and I'm here to share stories that inspire, challenge you to take action, and remind you that goodness still exists in the world. Today's conversation is going to have you smiling, so let's get started. So what if one of the greatest gifts didn't come wrapped, but came with stage lights, music, and a standing ovation? Today's guest, Brooke Bang, is not only a lifelong dear friend, but she is definitely in the top 1% of the nice list. And as the newly appointed executive director and center stage youth program leader of St. George Musical Theater in St. George, Utah, Brooke is bringing stories to life, mentoring the next generation, and helping an entire community feel something. Brooke, welcome to Santa's About. Man, it's an honor to have you, and you are about to begin, or have already begun, an epic journey as the new executive director. Tell us a little bit about the history of St. George Musical Theater, first of all.
St. George Musical Theater's actually been around for a long time. It started in the 1970s. They started doing little shows, and then Donna and Donna Kenworthy became involved, and they grew it into St. George Musical Theater. We're still located actually, in the old Opera House on Main Street, right at the end of Main Street in St. George, which is really fun. And their whole thing was, let's do theater in the round. In the round, it's a whole 360 experience, and there is nowhere to hide when things go wrong, or if your wig comes off, or if a bat flies on stage. That happened once. It's crazy. And that was a temporary solution until they were going to purchase their own theater, and that fell through. So we lost our space. We were dark for about 10 years until about 2014. It's hard to keep a theater going. You need the shows constantly going for revenue and stuff, right? And then in 2014, Bruce Bennett, he and Dan Olson got together and were like, we're bringing back SGMT. And they did. And it was so fun. They brought back a full season, and it just kind of went from there. There was a little dip with COVID, but we managed to hang in there. So there's like so much fun stuff. And it's really fun to be a part of it. It's a little crazy, but fun.
Wow. So SGMT, which is St. George Musical Theater, they started in whatever venue they could scrape together.
It was always the Opera House.
Was it?
Actually, yeah, it was always the Opera House up right at the end of Main Street there. So yeah, they've always been there. It wasn't until they moved down and renovated the Woodward building, and then the lease on the agreement on the Woodward building came up, and then they tried to hang in there until they could find a new space. That kind of fizzled, and then they were dark for 10 years. And when Bruce and Dan brought it back, they were back to the Opera House.
And now you're on the verge of a brand new state-of-the-art theater?
Oh my gosh, the new theater is so sexy. I know when people are like, is children's theater sexy? And I'm like, it's pretty fun, man. It's pretty, we're very wholesome theater, very family friendly, but it's just gorgeous. The new theater, I went and watched through it a few weeks ago, and some of the board members were there, and I just teared up. The space itself is gorgeous. Of course, the building's brand new. It's absolutely amazing. But in the Opera House, if we want to come in a different entrance for certain entrances, we have to run outside to come in a different door. And you have to do that even if it's 110 degrees, or if it's raining, or if it's windy, just to see that we wouldn't have to do little things like that. My eyes watered up. And to see the dressing room that were built as dressing rooms, the dressing rooms we have now, it was a kitchen. So I love that. It's kind of like when you've washed your clothes your whole life or something without a washer and dryer, and then you get a washer and dryer. You're like, this is amazing. So I love it.
That's fantastic. So the new theater is built to the needs of what SGMT is wanting to accomplish, rather than taking whatever is available and, hey, let's make do.
Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. There's been we were able to consult with these fantastic people from Hale and from some other theaters. So it's still in the round. If you've ever been to Hell Sandy, it's kind of like a small Hell Sandy like that. There's a catwalk, there's platforms. It's really beautiful. Very excited.
So is there anything about the stage, the performing space that is different from what you have at the current location?
Yeah, there's a few things that are different. We actually set it aside for a minute due to budget, but there is a lift to where we could lift things up, but it's about $400,000, and we are still looking to raise our last 3 million. And so if we have to make a few oxygen choices, so we might have a separate fundraiser for that one. So that you might not see that one in the first couple of seasons, but it is built for this really cool lift. And then it's got these, they're called VOMs. So the VOMs are kind of like open tunnels to enter the theater floor. So when you walk into the theater to find your seat, you'll come through two of the VOMs, and then the other two are the rear of the theater, and that's where the actors will enter or set pieces come in from. And then we have these fantastic platforms. We do have platforms in the Opera House now, but they're just not as amazing as these are. When you're building a platform versus, hey, we could put stairs up there and put an actor up there, right? Not the same thing. And of course, the tech booth is amazing. The dressing rooms. This one has a green room. So the new theater has a lobby, has concessions. We're excited.
Just your enthusiasm and your description of the new theater makes me so much want to see a show in that new theater, and I just can't wait. What is the timing that you're looking at for being able to open up?
So we should have access in August. And we're actually going to finish our last show August 1st. So we are just opening Emma in a week. So Emma opens next week. And then we'll do Once Upon a Mattress, which is an amazing show. It's one of my favorites. And then our last show at the Opera House will be Best of Broadway. And this will be like a compilation of just, it's got a patriotic theme this year. And that will be our last one at the Opera House. We close August 1st. And then we're hoping to get in there end of November, end of November, and then do a soft opening, some Christmas concert stuff in December before we launch our season in January, our 2027 season.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And, you know, and your personal role, you have been the director of the children's theater, and now you have just been asked to take on the role of executive director of the whole theater. Wow. Tell us a little bit about the roles and how you're going to balance those.
Well, the funny part is it is so much, but when we first created the kids program, and I was really, I'd been directing kids shows, and I knew that one day STMT would start a kids program, and I knew that I wanted to do it. I love working with the kids just because you see so much growth, and they're just so open about their happiness and their sadness, right? And their anxiety and all those things. It all comes together. So when Bruce approached me and said, "Hey, we're gonna we're gonna open this youth program. You should come," and he said interview, but I always hear audition because everything at the theater you audition, and so I'm like, "Yeah, I'll come audition for that." So I went in with a 17-page business plan of here's how I would do it, here's the classes, here's how I would organize it. It probably overwhelmed them a little bit, but it must have excited them because they hired me. And for that summer, so this was about a year ago, the first thing we were going to do was a kids camp, just one show to see in the summer to see kind of what the vibe is. So we did Dare to Dream, and we had over 70 kids in our camp. And it was fantastic, then. I mean, it was just magical and amazing and a little bit crazy. And right towards the tail end of that, of course, I never do these things by myself. There's a whole production team of beautiful people, the choreographer, the music director, the production assistants, whole team of gorgeous people that help it come together. But right at the end of that, I was going in to direct Little Shop of Horrors for the main stage, which I had already been committed to before I got hired at this job. And so it's kind of like how I feel now. I had done this crazy summer camp with 70 plus kids. And then I went to go direct 25 adults in Little Shop. And it was just such a vacation. It was like nobody needed anything from me emotionally. right? If they needed a Band-Aid, they went and found a Band-Aid. If someone came upset, they probably just cried in their car for a minute and then came in and did rehearsal. I don't know. They all got themselves there on time. It's just a whole different thing. You don't have to hurt anyone's feelings if you give them direction, or no one gets their feelings hurt. And it's kind of like that now. So now that I've had this crazy experience with putting the kids program up, the bigger piece of the entire theater, while it's a lot, it's like, I don't know, I've already been sprayed by the fire hose. So it's kind of just like directing 6 shows at once. I'll stay the director of the children's program just so that I can always keep an eye on maintaining that culture of kindness and inclusivity that I love to create. Um, but I have brought on this fantastic new junior show producer. Her name is Brooke Bang, and she'll run the kid shows. And then I've offered the job to another fabulous person to be the educational director, and she'll run the classes because that's what center stage really is the classes and the shows. But I'll just kind of keep that umbrella close to my heart because I'm just so protective of the kids program and how it runs.
And that it sounds like it weaves really well together because you're bringing up the next generation of professional actors and actresses that will then be part of the main SGMT productions. So
Yes, we really want to incorporate the kids shows. I want to get to the point where if we're doing Guys and Dolls on the main stage, then we do Guys and Dolls Junior, the kids version, with our Center Stage Academy, and then they can go be mentored by those actors, and then they can come and perform on the main stage on the Dark Nights. I mean, there's so much great opportunity. I'm so excited.
So, Brooke, one of the main focuses of Santa's About is spreading joy. Wherever Mrs. Claus and I go, we love to spread joy. And for someone who has never been involved with a community theater, what are they missing out on?
When they settled St. George, right when the pioneers came here, the first thing that they did was they built a social hall. That was before the church, before the school. They built a social hall for people to gather. And musical theater does that. It brings people together and it helps them feel like they're part of the community because we build this thing together for the community. It's an incredible thing to be a part of. We tell, people say, I used to sing or I used to this, or I've never done anything. There is room for all of it on any level. Sometimes people want to help backstage or they want to help do props or they do want to come out and sing. They sang in the high school choir and it's just that beautiful part of human nature that enriches you when you are part of something bigger than you.
You're an actress as well as the executive director. What happens to a person, young or old, when they step onto that stage for the first time?
I first found it. I can't say what happens to everyone else. I see it though. You see it. It just seeps into your skin and you're like, what is this magical thing? Oh my gosh, I love this feeling. I'm slightly terrified more than I've ever been, but oh my gosh, let's do this again, right? Um, I tell my kids all the time when they do shows, they get so nervous, and as everyone does. And I always hear parents say, "Don't be nervous, don't be nervous." And when I get them, I'm like, "No, don't listen to anyone who tells you not to be nervous. You're going to be nervous, right? I still get nervous when I audition and things like that. You just embrace that nervousness, and it's okay because you're going to be nervous. And then what's going to make you amazing is you're going to go do that anyway." And that's my favorite part of theater is that this is some people's worst nightmare to be standing in the middle of a room with a spotlight on you, told to sing or deliver a line. People have nightmares about that all the time. And we are doing that on a consistent basis. And it's what makes you and our program and these kids and these actors such amazing human beings because they just embrace that fear and that nervousness and all that anxiety. And then they go overcome it and then they want to do it again.
I love that so much. And for the listeners to this podcast, pay close attention to that. And I want to reiterate what Brooke is communicating there. We live in a society to a large extent right now that is saying, well, let's take away any discomfort of anybody. And being on that spotlight, being having hundreds of people looking at you as an individual, and you've got to deliver something that can be terrifying, yet it can also be life altering to actually go through that experience. Do you have any examples of lives that you've seen changed by being involved with the theater?
In the kids, it's almost tangible. And I have parents chat with me all the time. It's really fun to have seen it, have seen the kids who are in our Dare to Dream camp, because for a huge group of kids, that was the first time they've ever done anything. And so there's a few kids that I have watched where that was the first thing they've done, and they were really timid, really quiet. Even how they stood on stage, right, was really shy to go out because they said to come out here and then I'm here and then do this. And then there's one little girl was like that in our camp. We just finished our Susical spring break camp, which was a 1 week camp, and the entire production team, the director, stage manager, choreographer, and music director were all kids 13 and 14 years old. And they put together the show. Of course, you buy the rights, you get them the script and everything. And what I had them do is we were running a different camp, a different show called Pure Imagination. And so I had these girls come in and shadow that choreographer who is a professional in what she does. She's a teacher, she's a dancer, she's an actor. And so that little 13-year-old was able to go around with her and watch how to put together a show. And the same thing with the director. Our young director came in and shadowed the director for Pure Imagination. Here's how you organize it. The same thing for the entire production team, so that when we got to a week before the show, then, and I sat down with them once a week and we talked about things like conflict resolution, right? What happens when, how do you get the attention of the entire room? Because we don't yell at center stage. We certainly don't say shut up. So how do you get, just these kids are excited and it's loud. How do you get their attention? And so we talked about all these things that you do and gave them tools. And by the end of that show, they had the week, had the show. Our little 14-year-old stage manager was up in the booth calling the show, running the light cues. We had 2 deckhands that from a previous show that were 13 and 15. I mean, these kids love it. And the little girl that I was talking about, she was in the show and she was one of the leads. And her parents came up to me afterwards and were telling me about her confidence. And you could just see it anyway, just because I'd seen her from the beginning. But they were telling me how that's been trickling over into school. And this is where the magic is, Dave, because when those kids feel confident on stage and they feel like someone thinks I'm important here, people pay to come see them. Maybe I can say no to things, to pressures in school. I can stick up for myself, right? I feel valued because they value me. And that is 1,000% where the magic is. That's just a Tuesday at center stage to see that kind of stuff.
I love that so much, Brooke. It's not just those that are performing or working the tech, working the show and everything. There's also an element to the audience. So a patron to the theater, what do they get by going to the theater that they wouldn't normally get by staying at home watching Netflix or going to see a movie?
This is an interesting phenomenon. This is actually fascinating about just interaction and how people are so used to staying home and not interacting, and then they get to the theater and we want them to interact, right? We want them to cheer or clap or be involved. And it sometimes takes a second to pull that out of people. Some audiences, if there's someone in the audience who goes to theater a lot of times if actors are in the audience, they're already vocal and stuff. But you can tell that people are used to being home and just having screens. It's so important that we keep the arts alive because it's our society, right? It's always tied to our humanity to get out and interact and talk to people outside of texting. And when you can do that on any level, it's amazing. When you do it and you go out and see kids, that's a whole, like, you've leveled up because I mean, to just see kids perform. And when you go to the kids shows, right, there's always that kid who there's just, God bless all of them. And there's like the kids up here who have done 2 or, and then there's the kids down here that my mom signed me up. But I guess we're doing this and they're just hanging out and, oh yeah, I'm coming on right now. I mean, I love every level of it. I'm in love with. It makes me so happy.
That's so great. You're definitely creating a space that that brings people together and that helps them feel a part of something better. And Brooke, I really love that you're doing that. You're having people be seen, valued, and a part of something bigger. That kind of magic doesn't just happen. It takes people who care deeply about building those connections. And hey, speaking of connection, we want to take a quick moment to thank a sponsor, today's show sponsor, who helps make this podcast and moments like these possible. So a big thank you to Curb and Turf.
Quick pause, friends. This adventure, it's brought to you by Curb and Turf, the free app that connects RVers with private landowners. You see, as Mrs. Claus and I travel the country, we need safe, welcoming places to camp. And Curb and Turf delivers private spots all across the U.S. So when you plan your next trip, you got to ask yourself, why not camp where Santa camps? Download the free Curb and Turf app today.
Thank you and welcome back to the podcast here. So, Brooke, is there a certain quote or saying that you live by that really helps you out in tough times?
Well, how I've always felt about the theater is, and kind of in life general, is that I I want to be doing things that I love with people that I love. And so if I'm not doing that, then I'm doing myself a disservice. And really that's everything that I'm doing at the theater. And if I'm not doing something that I love in my life, then I should make a different life choice. Right? We should all be out there doing fun things with people we like and things that we love doing. And so that's where I always try to land because especially in the theater, it is so fantastic and lovely, but it takes time away from the family every now and then. And I've got a great support system at home. I drag my kids to the theater. I've actually made all my kids have done theater, even my boys, just because of the fantastic lessons that musical theater gives you and just the life skills where you deal with rejection. Maybe you didn't get the part you wanted. You work together as a team. It's public speaking, memorizing. There's, being a part of something bigger, keeping commitments. If I've committed to rehearsal and then something comes up, I've just learned how to be a responsible adult and a responsible child. I said, I can't. In fact, I have a shirt that says, I can't, I have rehearsal.
Oh, I love that. And Brooke, I'm sure that this has never happened to you on stage as an actress, but I have heard that in some cases things go wrong in the middle of a show, right? That never happens to you, right?
It's actually the best part. And when I'm an audience member, I love watching when something goes wrong. I know the actors hate it, but I kind of love it. I mean, that stuff happens so often, right? Nothing is perfect. And I love it even more than I ever did, especially with the kids, because with social media, there's always this perception of perfection. People are always posting the perfect vacation. Here I am here. And so we get this perfectionism in our head that I need that to be happy. And one of the things that my favorite class at Center Stage is improv. It's for our kids 12 and older. Improv is the best thing you could ever do for your kids, or like even for people, because it teaches you just how to roll with it, right? Mistakes are made, you just kind of roll with it. And it is one of the best life lessons, especially in society right now. But oh yeah, we've had like crazy stuff. I was doing 39 steps, which is this really fun Hitchcock like spoof. And again, our theater is small. It seats 125, and if you need to get up and leave during the show, you have to go down the stairs, and you're kind of walking along the edge of the stage before you get to the exit. And so that it doesn't happen often. We were in this show, and there was a fussy baby. Again, small, intimate experience. There's really nowhere to hide. And that poor mom is doing the best she can, but this baby's fussing, and we can hear it, and people are starting to get, it's drawing their attention, and they're getting a little annoyed, and this poor mom's embarrassed, and she's trying to help the baby. And the actor in the show, which was Trent Cox, who's he came down, he grew up here, but he moved to New York to pursue acting. He's got an incredible resume. He's got a lot of experience, right? And he's giving this big monologue trying to get, his part in the show is getting everybody on board with his idea. And he's saying, and the governor and the mayor and the baby. And he referenced the crying baby in the show, and it immediately dissipated all the tension. Everybody broke out laughing. And from that point on, the baby was part of our show. We found all these fun moments to reference this crying baby, and I love it when stuff like that happens.
And you know what? That brings up more supporting evidence to what we were talking about earlier of the things that the audience gets from attending live theater or live art in any form, is that things happen, mistakes happen. And if our whole consumption of entertainment is perfect, what does that say about our own lives if that's all we're consuming? It has a tendency to make us feel, oh, when things mess up, I'm such an idiot, or I'm so bad at whatever. Whereas if you're getting out in live theater as an audience member, as an actress, an actor, a tech person, whatever, these mistakes happen, and you learn to roll with the punches, or you witness other people rolling with the punches. And that's a real growing opportunity. And I would encourage anybody out there to embrace the unexpected and be willing to roll with things. Goodness.
Oh, I've got countless. There's just countless stories of things gone wrong, and my favorite is when my friends were there to see it. I had someone come to a show 10 years ago, and the wig I was wearing in the show got caught on the buttons, the jacket buttons of the guy that I was in the scene with. I went to go move, and it pulled my wig off. And this person has seen me in over a dozen shows so many times. That is her most favorite thing. Not anything else I've done on stage, but having that wig come off is what she always talks about. It's fantastic. They love it. One of the we were doing our little spring break camp, and the cute little kid who plays Fort, it's a week. They only have a week to memorize lines, and he had said, "Oh, he was doing his lines, and he goes, oh, I can't remember my lines. I'm stupid." And the little 15-year-old deckhand walks by and puts his hand on him, and he goes, "You're not stupid. You're beautiful." And then he just kept walking. And it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. It was definitely the most beautiful thing I'd seen that day. It was just, "You're not stupid. You're beautiful." And then he kept going. And that is really the vibe in theater, is everyone here is accepted and beautiful, and we're going to do this beautiful thing together. It's really fun to be a part of.
Oh, and to hear that from a peer is a totally different level, right?
Yeah. The support is really, really incredible. Sometime I will tell you about when the bat flew on stage when I was in a show. That was a good time. There's so many.
No, what show was that?
That was Hello Dolly. It was Hello Dolly. It was at the Opera House. Nope, it wasn't the Opera House. It was the Woodward building that we renovated downtown, but there was like a hole in the attic. It was an old building, right? And I guess a bat had come through, and I'm singing this song, and I notice I'm the only one on stage, and I notice heads start to turn, because when you're in an intimate theater, you can see the people. And I noticed that people aren't watching me and they're going like this. Out of nowhere, this bat like flies right past me. So I keep singing. In the song, I'm the hat store lady, and I'm singing this beautiful song, this beautiful lyric song called "Ribbons Down My Back." It's the love song, and I'm tracking this bat, and so is everybody else, right? But I keep singing. Here comes the bat. I grab the biggest hat on the table. It's one of the props. Here comes the bat. I throw the hat. Miraculously, it hits the bat. The bat hydroplanes across the stage, totally stunned. My husband Tyson happened to be in the audience that night in the second row. He leaps out of the audience, grabs the jacket of the person in front of him that was on the back of their chair, scoops up the bat, and runs out the exit. No one can believe that just happened. I'm continuing to sing. The whole time I'm singing, I finish the song and then say it ends the scene, and then I say something like, and now we're going to close the shop for the exterminator or something like that. And then the scene ends. But I mean, it's just, you never know what you're going to get at live theater. And I'm so excited for people to come into our new theater. Even though it's new, it's bigger, it's beautiful, it still is going to have that intimate, that really intimate feel.
I'm so excited, Brooke, for sure. So let's go into a speed round here. You ready? Okay. Favorite show of all time?
Musical theater show?
Yeah,
Scarlet Pimpernel.
Scarlet Pimpernel.
Absolutely.
Your dream role, either one that you've already performed or one that you hope to?
Yeah, I've been really lucky. I've played all my dream roles, and some of them I've played more than once. I have been very, very lucky with theater. It's 1,000% Marguerite Saint-Just from the Scarlet Pimpernel.
So opening night nerves, are you more excited or more terrified?
Oh, that's funny. It's different when I'm a director. So as an actor, it's 90% excited and then 10% super nervous, right? And I love that. I love that little feeling in my chest just before the top of the roller coaster, just before I go down. But then as soon as I step onto stage, then it kind of like seeps into me, and I love it so much. Now, as the director, I'm 90% nervous and 10% excited because everything's kind of out of my control now, right? I'm handing it over. So definitely two different things. I love that feeling. Where else, you have to have those times in your life that really challenge you and press you, and don't run away from those. Like, have those moments, have those experiences, and then just do it, and you'll be so brave. Other places too. Yeah.
So as an audience member, we don't see what goes on backstage. What's a backstage tradition that you do, either preparing for a show or during a show, that people would be surprised to hear?
This is funny because, and I have to be really conscious of my fellow actors, but I totally have a pump up playlist. I love dancing as just a general rule at all times. It has often embarrassed my children because if the song comes on in the grocery store, like, we do dance warm ups at the kids before the kids shows. I've tried to incorporate those into my adult shows. Weirdly, not all adults like to dance, which I don't understand that. But I do have a really fantastic playlist that I like to have going in the dressing room. Some, I try to be really conscious. Some actors really like to just have it be really quiet. I'm in the moment. I'm getting centered, and but for the most part, if it's okay with everybody, we're gonna have a dance party, and you wouldn't think that we're doing that just before. There's hair, there's makeup, there's costumes, there's all that stuff. But I feel like it helps kind of wake you up, and there's something about music, and this is the great thing about musical theater is it hits all your senses, right? So we're talking and that's okay, but then when you add music, you add dance, you're getting all of these senses involved to pull engagement in. And so yeah, come do a show with me and we might have a dance party.
So speaking of that, if Santa were to show up for an audition, what role would be ideal for Santa?
Definitely Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. I feel like definitely Eliza. I feel like that's like a whole new show. It's a whole new play, right? I feel like we need to start mixing it up. Santa, let's go.
That sounds so great. Brooke, this has been so enlightening, and I love your energy. I love what you're doing for your community. And what would you say to any parent that is listening, wondering if their child should get involved?
Try it. It is. I found musical theater when I was in high school. Because of my dad's job, we moved a lot, and I'd always been a dancer. But when I moved to St. George, went to Pineview, and they were having auditions for the music band. And I thought, what is this magical place where you could sing and dance? I loved it. I was hooked. I got a great part. I was hooked, and that was it. And what that did for me is what I know it does for kids. You can come out and try any of our stuff, any of our classes. We always have a free trial. Try it once, twice, 3 times to make sure that your kid likes it. We don't make everyone sign contracts to keep them there. I only want them to come because they love it. And the kids find friends, they gain confidence, they find this beautiful sense of themselves. Hard things happen, right? And when we see those hard things happen, if there's something, kids are kids, and middle school is hard. And we had an instance where there was a little issue, and I talked to the girls and I said, this isn't about anything that anyone's done wrong, because this is the first time this is going to happen. This is going to happen next week for you guys. But how do we handle it better when it comes up again? Like, what can we do next time someone comes up and says something mean about someone else? And so we are all about growing these children into responsible adults that care and that are kind. Most kids are already like that anyway. We just give them a platform to explore it.
Oh, I love that so much, Brooke. And thank you for the joy that you're bringing by putting yourself out to really be a point person for growing a community theater. And with every podcast, I like to issue a challenge. And so the challenge for this podcast is to go check out your local community theater and either give it a shot to be involved in a show, but at a very bare minimum, purchase a ticket to an upcoming show and embrace those things that we've talked about here, that sometimes you're going to come across things that are not perfect, and embrace that and just have a good time. Support your fellow community members and just experience the joy that comes along with being there. So thank you so much, Brooke. You are a champion of spreading joy, and that's what keeps you on the nice list with Santa.
Oh, thank goodness. I was worried. Yes. Thank you, Santa.
Thank you. And hey, everybody, keep tuning in. We look forward to seeing you for future episodes. And hey, keep spreading the joy.
I hope that story inspired you as much as it did me. All right, now, it's challenge time, and you know what to do, right? Well, do it. Share it with the hashtag Santa's About and tag us. Let's create and then spread some goodness. And if you loved this episode, share it with someone who needs the inspiration, because small acts create big ripples, and kindness, it should be a lifestyle, not just a holiday tradition. And if you want more, check out our premium community at santasabout.com. New episodes every Tuesday. Subscribe and leave us a review if you're feeling generous. And remember, some folks, why, they're just one hug away from the nice list. So be good, for goodness sake. And we'll see you next week.